Hi, good evening. My name is Jay Rothman, and welcome to Real Men, Real Talk Live. I am the host of the show. And again, my name is Jay Rothman. I'm coming in live from Sedona, Arizona. In the studio this evening, we have Josh Richer coming in live from Santa Monica, California. Welcome to the show. Evas Love Heath, the man of the land from down under. He calls Australia home. We here call it a place to go on vacation. What a lucky man you are. Charles Maddox coming in live from Tampa, Florida.
Glad to be back.
All right, welcome back. We missed you just a couple of 24 hours ago. We were live on Friday night.
A couple of 24 hours ago.
It wasn't the same. And we have, of course, Jeff Fasano, world-acclaimed photographer and just an absolutely beautiful man coming in from Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome to the show, guys. This is our first Tuesday night show. As I said in a green room before we went live, I said, how is it going to change? Is anything going to change for us, whether we come in Tuesdays or Fridays? And of course, Evas, a man of lots of wisdom, said, well, does it really make a difference? You know, is it really a difference in time? And
not these days, brother. Nah, time no longer is a buffer. No way. I think we're all starting to realize that, Jay Roth, the man.
Really, what is time?
When we had our post-show production meeting on Friday evening, we really were looking at, where do we want to go on our next show? And what we concluded was that as we are rolling up the end of 2020, which we all came in, I know I came in really, really high and heavy, excited for a new year, focusing on laser vision. And before the first quarter ended, Q1 hadn't even ended. And the only thing that we could see was that the world was going into a shutdown, pause mode on many, many levels, and still remains so for millions of people, if not billions. And so the question that popped for you guys was, well, we got about 3 months, 12 weeks until 2021 rolls in. And how do we want to prepare for it? How do we want to set ourselves up for a strong Q1 going into the new year? How do we do that? And so the idea was, why don't we spend some time over the next 12 weeks just focusing on some areas in our lives that we can kind of reboot, reset, retreat, as Mary Kelly said Friday night, so that we can, in fact, set ourselves up for a 21 year of focus on ourselves. And so with that, welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, thanks for having me, brother. So good to see all my brothers again.
Totally.
Thank you.
It was only yesterday.
Really? It's like this quick turnaround.
And Mr. Maddox, great to see you, my brother. How have you been?
Welcome back.
We're back, brothers,
Love it.
Hey, Charles, how was it for you Friday night when you're not in the show? Like, I imagine that it feels like something's off. Something's got to be different.
Yeah, I mean, we've been so used to this, but one thing that I would say is that, if the world was back where it would be, I think this change actually might be a good one, because let's face it, if the world was where it should be, I mean, a lot of us would probably be out on a Friday night, right? I mean, Josh is in LA, man. Friday night is on a popping, baby. It says something. I know I wouldn't be in the house on Friday on every week at 9 o'clock. So I think that it is probably a good change. And I mean, people, let's face it, it's 9 o'clock. People are still up there. It could be a nice sit in their bed, watch this, relax, chill out, get ready for bed. So I think it's a good change.
I don't know about you, Charles, but Friday nights, Saturday nights, Those days passed me by, dude.
Not me, man. I like to get out there and run the streets, man. You know,
The days when weekends started on Thursday. have
yeah,
passed me by.
yeah.
Before we jump into tonight's hot topic of Are You the One in 21? I want to ask, any of you guys have anything that since Friday, since our last show, that's unfolded for you that you want to share real briefly? Anything come up? Anything happen? Any like tremendous wins or shifts in the sail, shifts in the waters for you guys? Anything happen?
Mm-hmm.
Well, man, there's
Well,
always
I think
something happening.
my big one was last Friday night from Josh.
We watched it live.
Yeah, really. I had my thing on Friday night when I asked Josh that question, which is the answer was from me, and I've been working on that ever since.
Beautiful, Jeff. And
that's my shift into 2021 big time. That was a great left turn for me, and the reason why I say left turn is because that was our left side of our body is where our heart is. So that's why I took a left turn Friday night.
Beautiful.
Love it.
Good stuff.
Right into my heart. Josh saved me right in my heart.
Yeah, your question backfired.
Really? My question was to you, but I was looking at me when I asked. Anyhow, I digress.
And really, I think everyone's really coming back to that way, aren't they, Jeff? After this year, coming back to the heart, coming back to the self.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That kept on coming up for me after we spoke about this was during this pause in 2020 was a great time to step back, move from your life in the world outside of yourself, move within and start taking a good long look at yourself within. And it really was wonderful because when we began this pretty much right at the beginning of shutdown, close to it, and what we've been doing here has been offering up tools and our experiences of moving within. My question, and one of the things that I was putting out in the promos, is that to everyone out there, have you used this pause? Have you used this pause in your life to go within? Have you used the pause in your life now to go within, look at what's going on inside of you? Because when this pause happened, I guarantee you, everybody's nervous system started freaking out. Okay, and the doing stopped. All the doing all the incessant doing might have stopped in your life. So my question to everybody is, did you take some time to do some inner work at this time of pause, and that so we can set ourselves up in the next 12 weeks for what we want in our life and in 2021.
Well, and I think that's interesting too, because I think that, we actually needed this pause. I think the world was running so fast that none of us saw who we truly were. Wow. Now we have gotten a chance, man. We have seen what our so-called friends are, what our family is, our so-called social media friends, man. We've seen the worst of the worst from folks, right? We've seen people attack each other over racism, friends over politics. I think even looking at some of just the nonsense that's been out here from music to entertainment. Like I said, I'm glad to see a lot of this stuff on pause because we don't have to be privy to the Real Housewives of this, that, and the other thing. And people are more focused on health. They're more focused on, everybody's doing a podcast on some sort of spirituality or some sort of growth. and things like that. We've had to take a time to look at what we really value and what we really believe in, either from a spiritual or political standpoint. I think even once again, some of the craziness that's on social media, where we were just running with the crowd, and everybody had to have some sort of this or some sort of that to be somebody. Whereas now it's really about, what is your happiness? Where do you fit in? What is your goal? What is your purpose? I mean, if you don't have a goal or a purpose now in this crazy time that we live in, where anybody can get sick, where anybody can pass away, where anybody can leave without leaving something, why are you here? I think so. This time has given a lot of people a chance to answer those questions and really figure out, the next steps. And the next steps are not maybe what we thought they should be, right? It's about getting that core circle straight, right? The ones you have around you that love you and that support you, making sure that your health is right, making sure that you can deal with whatever comes your way. It may be not about these materialistic things that it was before all of this madness was going crazy, but really about substance. So I think that, once again, this break for me has really opened up some eyes and changed some lives and opened up some things that we really had to look at, not only in ourselves, but even ones around us.
Yeah, man. Brother, going in deep already, catching up. Catching up on lost time, man. Yeah, no, you hit it on the head, and I think we touched on it last week too, brothers, over the weekend. We were talking about, this I am this highest version of ourself. It literally wants to keep things simple. I don't think it's dressing the reality we thought we all wanted to achieve, the whole glitz and glamour and have this thing and know this person and get to this place. It actually wants to come back to the simpler things in life. And I think we're witnessing the very surrendering of the ego mind, of the mind that we all developed from a very, very early age. And so I said this to Jeff the other day, it's not about really severing the ego altogether, but more so giving the ego purpose now. So many spiritual circles, so many gurus and shaktis and whatever you want to call yourself out there, they talk about severing this ego. My thing for me is I give the ego purpose. I give the ego purpose to actually work with my truth, my why, my goals, my authentic self. So the ego's gone from steering the front, the seat in the car, to sitting in the back seat now, where we can take over the reins, if you want to call it that, as the highest version of ourselves, and allow this inner child that I always talk about to finally get some playtime. Because, man, if you've been out in nature, if you're getting outside and actually grounding yourself, look at the stage that is being set for ourselves. Man, the environment is as clean as it has ever been in years. I only had this conversation with a client this morning, just how beautiful it is out there. Man, I don't know if you can hear that bird outside. I'm starting to hear birds come back into play that I haven't heard in years.
But that bird was in my head.
So that bird in our culture is a rain bird. We were in a dry season here. We're finally getting rain as well. So things are being reset, but have we dug ourselves into the grave and thought of 2020 as a year to be forgotten, living in fear, uncertainty, or the unknown, or have we embraced the unknown or the uncertainty to make it our known now?
Right. Yeah.
There you go, brother.
Ev, I wanna just take a moment here to ask you to just touch on a little bit more. You mentioned inviting the ego from the driver's seat, 10 and 2 position, to the back seat, but yet still inviting him or her to the party. If I may ask you, are you referring to just honoring the ego, not disrespecting him or her, but not giving permission for them to continue to control your choices and decisions? Is that what you mean by that?
100%, my brother. 100%. Now, the ego is important down here in this planet we call Earth, because you got to think about it. Gives you your authenticity, gives you your name, gives yourself a little bit of an identity. But the roles of the old ego, that's what needs to be changed. So giving the purpose, or giving the role of the ego to focus on the purpose, all right, because the ego is used to keeping you in the safe place and having to deal with all your grief, your fears, your shames, your blames, and all those low vibratory frequencies, but giving it more so purpose out of love now. Not the part where it had to be constantly living in those deep and dark places of ourself. And that's when we talk about this higher self. The higher self, man, it doesn't want to hang out in those low vibratory frequencies. But we can all take this body, this car around in a spin, all as one right now. If only we started to unify all of those people in the vehicle that we call the me, myself, and I.
I want to ask you guys this question here. Maybe Josh, you could pick up the answer. From your perspective, there is so many people that have, from the beginning of the shutdowns, the pause, talked about it's a great opportunity to dust off yourself, to kind of recalibrate, come back, recenter, rebalance, check in with yourself the way you haven't. And that's got to impact a lot of people who have been struggling emotionally, mentally, and physically due to the pandemic. So from that perspective, there's got to be a lot of people that are probably feeling frustrated, or maybe even less than, like, why can't I be one of those people that's having these major shifts in life, these major epiphanies, these major breakthroughs? I see it to an extent on the road here where I live, because I meet people out in nature that are shifting, making changes, selling their homes, moving to a new state, buying RVs, doing things that they maybe have wanted to do, and this has pushed them to having that motivation. I'm not sure, but what about the people that are literally unemployed? I know some people that haven't still been able to get their unemployment insurance paid out yet. There's issues from state to state. There are people that have lost family members. How do we speak the same language to these people that 2020 has not been a year of, coming home of rebalancing, but it's been a year of just surviving, barely. How do we acknowledge these people? How do we honor them? How do we love them in this moment? Because you're suffering.
That's a very good question, Jay, because I've been in both places. I've been in that high vibe that Evas is talking about, and I've also been in that depressive low where I owed $250,000 to investors that I couldn't pay back. And it's the difference is, and the control that we have is what we focus on. And when I focused on the debt and the shame around the business failure and all of that, and the no money and the, I was in my worst financial state, 5 years ago, and everything was crashing down around me, much like it is for many people now. And I feel you, and I feel that pain, and it's hard not to focus on that all the time. And I get it. And, you are not forgotten. And there are people like us out there coming to you with a loving hand and with a supportive hand. And that's why we're doing this challenge as well. Or I hate to even call it challenge is a bad word. Let me take that back. That's why we're doing this focus of the next 12 weeks, is so that we, those that need a helping hand, or that want that encouragement, or want that extra support, we're here. The 5 of us are coming to you for the next 12 weeks to help focus and to help maybe tweak those thought patterns, or change something in you so that you can tackle these opportunities or go after these things that you want to go after. And that was kind of why we all agreed to do this, was that, and we all need accountability buddies and partners, and we're here to be that for you, with you, for each other. We're all going through changes as well. And so, yeah, it's, and for me, the biggest change when I had my financial crash was what I focused on. When I focused on the debt and the no money, and that my life was falling apart around me, that's what brought me down. And that's what creates those stress chemicals in your body, and your body reacts to that. So, yeah, it's, and it's hard to get out of it. I feel you 1,000%. And there are subtle changes you can do, and stick with us for the next 12 weeks, because this is what we're doing all together.
Yeah, man, that's beautiful, brother. And you think, I mean, we are literally in an awakening. But for the brothers and sisters out there, you know, like, do you really feel too, brother, that we all must go through a fall to rise?
For me, that was the case.
Yeah.
Me too, bro.
I mean,
You gotta. I mean, I've been through a couple of them, and so interesting that Josh says 5 years ago, because it was 5 years ago for me that I was at my lowest point, emotionally, mentally, financially, 5 years ago. And I realized that I realized that the biggest thing for me is I needed to leave where I was. As Jay was talking about, a lot of people are getting up and leaving from where they're living, moving to a place that's more simpler and easy. I mean, I was living in Los Angeles, and I realized, you know, with all due respect, Josh, that area of the world for me, I was not in resonance with whatsoever. I was in constant fighting and chaos and opposing it, and in this place, and I tried as if I was trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, and I was at my lowest point where I was, you know, thinking about, you know, I don't want to be in this dimension anymore, and I thought about suicide at that time too, and what shifted for me on the cliffs of Palos Verdes was to leave, and asking the question, and this is a tool that came up. The question that came up for me at that time was, what does the future look like for me where I am right now? And that was Los Angeles. And what was so ironic about that, about 10 minutes later, a friend of mine called me literally at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I said, this question just popped into my head. And he said, more of the same. What does my future look like here? And he just said it, more of the same. And it was those words that I said, I'm done. I need to end this chapter of my life, and I need to move on. And as we've been talking about, I need to simplify my life in all areas of it and make my life easier than what it is here where I am right now. And that's what I did, is I up and left, and I was at my lowest financially, but I paid attention to those words and really then said, I have to pay attention to what's going on in here. There is a major non-resonance for me where I am right now. I'm fighting it, trying to make it resonate, but it just wasn't. So I just said, I'm done, I'm leaving, and I'm going to a place, which is Nashville, that is much easier, amazing community, amazing people, and life is just simpler and easier here, and it resonates for me. And once I made that choice and that decision to change, you know, we could take the names of the cities out of it. Take it and look at it as a vortex of energy. So what I looked at as LA as a vortex of energy where I was, which was no longer resonating for me. It wasn't about Los Angeles. I could tell you that story if you have a couple of hours. But then I said pick up, and I needed to move to an area or a geographic location that resonates for me for where I am in my life right now. And this was, 4.5 years ago. And literally made that decision the day after my birthday, May 28th, 2016. And I was out the door on the road July 1st. And I haven't looked back, and it was an amazing decision, because what happened is when I landed in a place that resonated for me, so many other areas of my life started to work, started to move in flow.
Yep.
And wouldn't you say, Jeff, that the beginning of that was taking an honest look at your life and saying what's not working?
Exactly.
And honest, and it's hard, and I get that, and that's a really tough step.
Yeah.
But to just look at your life and say, this isn't working, and I deserve more.
Yeah.
It
it's like, what do I want? And it was, I'm telling you, my at the time, my 22-year-old niece, I was in New York City, and she said, so Uncle Jeff, what do you want? I said, I want my life easier. I want to live in an easier place. There's more community and all this, And she says, well, what's the city you've been talking about? I said, Nashville. She goes, all right, well, that's a done deal.
Beautiful.
But yeah, actually, when you say fall, I'm not sure I agree with that. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times decisions or situations that we put in are based on our choices, right? Whether good or bad. And if we make better choices, that's like saying, man, I had to date this girl to see the better girl over here. Well, maybe I made the wrong decision even in dealing with this person, based on things that were inside of me. If I was making better decisions, then I might not have been in that situation. I might not have borrowed that money for that business. I might have not have dated that woman. I might not have, smoked that drug or drank that drink, whatever it may be. So I think, I'm not sure, I would like to, when we think of fall, what do we exactly mean by fall? And do we have to go through certain things to have a life where it maybe we don't have all the drama and all the issues? I haven't gone through a lot of things that some people go through. But while I appreciate, because I work hard, but I have never fallen where I haven't, had to look up. Do I work hard? And has there been days, man, where, especially when I was younger, man, we had to, hit the streets, and when I was making music and, sleep on people's couches and taking the train late in New York and in the middle of the night and sharing shoes with my homeboys and stuff like that. It was a struggle, but it was never a fall where I had to say, you know what, man, I needed to fall that way. And even if it was a situation that I look back at where I say, man, I shouldn't have dealt with that, or shouldn't have been in that, it goes back to me where I say, you know what, if I would have made better decisions, I wouldn't have been in that situation. So I think it goes back to us. I'm not sure we all have to fall to see the light. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
But how do you, here's my question. My question is this. How do you know what a better decision is until you make the decision that you make to learn from the decision that you make, so in the future you make another decision?
True. I don't think it's a fall. Not everything is a fall. I did a deal with a very the biggest singer's father not too long ago, and I kind of realized, I said, Charles, either you can do this and it can go this way, or it can go that way. Either way, I don't lose. I keep doing what I do. Now, it was probably a decision where I say, okay, I shouldn't have probably went that way. I probably knew better. I didn't fall. I just kept moving. I said I adjusted to where I needed to be. So I still learned from the situation, but I didn't fall. So I, just.
Ev, what do you make of what Charles is saying here? Because I know you got something on your mind right now.
Oh no, but it's just beautiful how he actually translates that as well. And what Jeff was saying there also, in regards to those choices. I mean, how does that show up in our reality? It's called through action. It's through your behavior. It's called through how we show up into our lives. When we say the fall, brother, this is very metaphoric, and it could mean something different for everyone. I mean, we've just got to go back to the good book, man. I've been doing a lot of painting, as my brothers and sisters are aware. Mm-hmm. And what do you think the story of Lucifer is? Yeah. It's you falling into your body. So the body, it basically picks up human limitations in regards to your very divine essence. Right. So through your choices, behaviors, and actions, can you say, no matter how many times you fall, you get up even stronger, you're able to respond as opposed to react with more light. This is what I'm talking about. This game is about light. Uh-huh. It's getting out of the dense behaviors, actions that we've been in as human beings. We're moving into a more light body. And through actually allowing this light body to come to the surface full time, we may fall, but guess what, brothers and sisters? We're getting up quicker. That's the key.
Yeah, I love that, Ev. And I love this conversation that's unfolded between all of us, specifically Charles and Jeff, because my takeaway is that it always comes back to our perspective of the experience. Mm-hmm. And I honor the experience that you had, Jeff, and how you shared it when you were in LA, and you hit, if I may paraphrase, a level of a bottom in your life where you were just emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually tapped out. Mm-hmm. And you knew that you needed to do something differently. I honor that. I honor that you had the awareness, you had the courage, you had the 3 C's: clarity, courage, and commitment to change. And you did it. Now, Charles, I could spend an hour talking, really just honoring you, because what I love about you is Mary Kelly said something about, sometimes we just have to know when it's time to pivot. Right. You got a new nickname here. On Real Men Real Talk Live, your new nickname is Pivot Man. The way you show up and the way you've showed up, you reinvented yourself so many times in this same lifetime. I could think of at least 4 different careers. I'm only in my second. Josh, I think, is in his second. Ev, I think, is in his second. Jeff is in his second. You are either on your 4th, 5th, or 6th. I can't even. I need a calendar just to write down every week what you're doing.
Blast. Hey, if I can do it, I'm gonna do it. I'm having a blast, man.
And the beautiful thing,
funny doing it.
What's beautiful about being a witness today in your life is not only do you have the courage to keep showing up and pivoting and trying different formulas until you find the one that's going to stick, or multiple ones that stick. In the world we live in today, a lot of people call it a side hustle. Yeah. Well, a lot of what you're doing is side hustles, but it's what you have courage to do it. Yeah. And what I love is that your mindset, the way you show up in it, from what you described tonight, is that you don't, when it doesn't work out, you don't see it as a fall or as failure. You just move on. You just like, okay. And so my question to you is, now that I've just really buttered you up and raised you, you're at least 2 inches higher sitting on that chair right now. How do you do that? What is your recipe, celebrity chef, for being able to pivot as gracefully as it appears you do?
Mm. Well, you know what? If you really think about it, and I'm just going to throw a name out there. Look at P. Diddy. P. Diddy probably has 6 or 7 businesses that he does, right? I mean, he's a rapper, he's a producer, he's a television host, he's running a TV company right now, and pushing a major liquor brand. You know, if you look at 50 Cent, once again, he's an executive producer pushing a liquor brand. He's had clothing lines. He's an author. You know, I think you know, people who, you know, love to create always create, and sometimes things don't always work, and you just keep it. You don't take it personal. You know that in the creation process that some things are gonna pop and then some things aren't. I'm having a blast doing all of these things. Some things always don't go the right way, but you know, I don't take it personally. And also I think because of, you know, starting very early in the business, and maybe I always have a positive attitude, because in this business, if you don't have a positive attitude, you know, you can destroy yourself. You know, when I started making music, you know, with LL and all of these people like that, you know, I remember walking up to this guy's house. That's how we met him. I walked up to his door, found his house, man, knocked on his door, and you know, his grandmother was talking to me all crazy, and I said, you know, I'm gonna come back. Yeah, I didn't look at it as it's not gonna work. I looked at it as I'm gonna make this thing work. You know, when you get rejected in music and you're turning in songs to, you know, it's nothing but rejection. And when you go from to acting, nothing but rejection. And, you know, you can't let any of that, you know, stumble you. So even when I say a fall, now trust me, there's been days where, you know, I've had some stuff, man, that was eye-opening, but I don't even look at it as a fall. I look at it as dude, if I wasn't in that situation, if I didn't do those certain things that I did, I wouldn't even been in that. It's a learning lesson. I'm just going to keep it moving. So really, you know, it's I'm having a blast. I'm camping now, man. I'm getting tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got this bad boy, you know.
Look out.
You know, I mean, you know, I'm working on buying a house. You know, we're working on these shows. The future is bright, man, because you put yourself in that situation. I create my climate. And my climate is going to be sunny every day. Now, it's never always going to be sunny, but you know what? You push through those days. So I'm going to keep doing what we do. You know, I'm slowing down now. I want to finish these shows and go on to the next level of things, which is, you know, the retreat that I want to work on, and that's going to be a whole different phase of things for me. You know, so it's you know, and then I got a couple other things, you know, that personal that you know, are making me very happy too as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Hey, welcome to the life of an artist, folks.
Right.
It ain't easy.
of a pro pivoter.
I can tell you stories about I have great lines of little notes put in my portfolios the day of dropping. You know, 10 out of 10 times, you're not going to get the gig. Talk about a life of an artist's life of putting your whole heart and soul out in whatever you're doing. It is in your self-expression, and having people, you know, say things, you know, about it and turning you down 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
It's a life of it's really a testament to how much you believe and love what you're doing, and what you're focusing on.
Yeah.
Last week, what are we focusing on? And even, you know, like if everybody, if making it as an artist was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Exactly.
So it's about looking at that, and all of us here, okay. We all had, you know, I had for 18 years, I had my 9 to 5 comfort zone job until my life was miserable, you know, and then none of us here, I don't think, has ever taken the easy. Easy's not easy. It's not about easy. It's about when you follow your heart and your purpose is in that heart, whatever that is, and you connect with your soul and the divine plan, there's a conviction and a commitment and a knowingness that you have to do this. And there's not a lot of people who do it. Jay left his world. Evas is doing what he's doing. Josh took that big plunge. Charles is doing what we're doing. We made these major shifts in our life to move more deeply into our purpose of why we're here, which has brought us together to serve others with our transparency, our authenticity, and our lives to be, you know, that person. And when you go into the self-help world, which we are doing right here, that is a whole brand new thing of selflessness that we bring to the world.
Hey, real quick too, last thing I'm gonna jump in. I'm real quick. I'm loving these comments by Jamie, Steph, Jillian, Mary, Lisa, but even, you know, even recently, real quick, somebody had my good friend here that was a part of working with me called me a narcissist. Nobody's ever called me that. But then I said, you know what? That's okay. I'm okay, because I may not be a narcissist in every sense of the word, but I believe in myself. If you look at, let's say, Muhammad Ali, he would walk around, I'm the baddest man, blah, 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 blah. Why? Because especially when you get knocked down as an artist, when you're getting rejected every day, and I know Jeff knows exactly what I'm talking about. When you show up and you know, man, I got this. I'm reading these lines like Denzel, and you don't even get a call back. If you don't build yourself up, if you don't have an ego of some sort to keep you where you need to be, man, you'll be so deflated it's not even funny.
That's an interesting comment, Charles, because that brings us back to Evas's openings segment, which is how can we invite ego into our life in a healthy, positive way? Because ego, for many, we haven't been taught how to manage that part of ourselves. But obviously you have, and you just nailed it. There's, you know, is it in fact, you believe, Charles, that it's the ego that keeps you held up when you don't get that part that you know you nailed and you should have gotten it?
Yeah. Well, and once again, I think in many ways, we all have a bit of narcissism in us, right? But you know, once again, I looked at it as a bad thing, and I'm like, okay, you know, what parts of that? And this comes from someone who probably is, like we already understand, deflecting and reflecting and putting that out on it. But yeah, you have to build yourself up. Every day we deal with this world, whether it's family getting hurt, whether it's us getting hurt, whether it's rejection, whether it's, you know, relationship issues. If we don't build ourselves up and keep ourselves there, man, we're doomed, and we're going to be sitting around in the house depressed and miserable and talking about wishing we weren't here and things like that. No. So I have to, as an artist, you know, especially with the shows that we do every day, I'm pounding away at the phones for this show, for my other shows. And if I don't do that, I can't let anything sideswipe me, man, because somebody had a bad day and I because they threw me off and they rejected this great offer of this program that we're trying to do, that now I'm deflated. No, I have to build myself up and believe in me, right? We were divinely and amazingly created, right? We're not here to squabble on the ground. We are beautiful. We are gems, and we have to believe that.
Yeah, I love that. As we're moving into the fourth quarter of the hour, I feel like it's, you know, fourth quarter of the game here, fourth quarter of the, or it could be the NBA Finals right now. It's an interesting comment that you shared, Charles, and I appreciate you for having the courage to throw it out there that somebody you knew threw that label at you. And one of our viewers, Mary, said, you know, I'm going to paraphrase her, but it's just a label. And we live in a society today where we have been so programmed by society and Western medicine that We need a label. We need a medical code in order for you to get a pharmaceutical. I challenge, I dare every single one of you viewers tonight that one of your focal points, one of your focuses in 2021 is to stop with the labels. We don't need to define people by a medical diagnosis, which is BS anyway. You know, how we show up is how we show up. People are showing up and we want to call them narcissists. Is it really important to do that? Like, what does that do for you?
Exactly.
What power is that giving you to put someone else down with a label?
Exactly.
And that's not who they are anyway. They may be showing up that way because they're in pain, they're hurting.
Yeah.
You know, it is the same thing with the empaths. You know, we are all empathetic people. We just don't all know how to show it because we weren't taught. But at the core, at our soul level, I believe we all were born with loving kindness in our heart. And so I dare every single one of you viewers that are in a habit of living in the label world of dropping labels on people, let's just stop it. Let's just not go there anymore. Let's instead have empathy in our heart and learn how to love and respect people right where they're at. Now, it doesn't mean that we take abuse from them. It doesn't mean that we tolerate unacceptable behavior. But I could tell you, look, you just hit a hot spot for me, Charles, because I lived in a home where labels were dropped like truth bombs all day long. And at the end of my marriage, I had a lot of labels that were being thrown at me. I was all those things and then some. And that wasn't true. That was just experience that somebody had, because somebody read it and said, "Oh wow, that sounds a lot like my boyfriend or my husband or my girlfriend." But that's not who we are. We're just people having a human experience and doing the best that we can with what we know. And you know what? The truth is, we don't know a whole lot. We don't know what we don't know until we know it. Josh, what do you think of that?
I was just going to ask you the question, Jay. So when you grew up in a label household, so how did that?
I didn't grow up in that labeled household. I created a household of labels. I lived as an adult.
And I was going to say, in that habit of labeling others, how critical were you on yourself?
Well, Jillian just said it right here, and we can label ourselves too.
Because I believe the same thing too. Is like, how we are, either judging others, or you look at somebody in the grocery store and you're like, God, how the hell are they wearing those pants? This and that. And sometimes I'll catch myself and go, where am I judging myself? If I'm out there so willing to just drop some criticism or drop some label or judgment, I remind myself, wow, am I being overly critical on myself recently? So yeah, that was my question to you, Jay, was how those labels translated over to your inner dialogue, what's going on inside your head, and what you were telling yourself.
Well, I thank you for the question, Josh. And the truth is that when you're in the throes of pain and hurt and in that window, you can't make logic of illogic. You can't make logic of emotional pain. And so, yes, I was caught up in it and I was impacted by it. But once I had the courage to step out and start healing, working on myself, and started, instead of trying to save a marriage, I decided it was time to save my life. I began to understand the power of our words, the power of the unspoken words, and how hurtful the words we speak and how we talk about and accuse other people in our circle, how hurtful it can be. And so eventually I understood that it wasn't true. None of it was true. It was just someone else's experience, and they didn't know any other way to convey their frustration with how I was showing up. And so it was easier to just throw a label on me and say, "Oh, you're just a this or you're just a that." And none of that was true. what was true is that I was hurting as much as my partner was. And I didn't know what I didn't know. And what I didn't know was that I was showing up as a wounded adult child.
Mm.
I was playing house. My
like
wife, 3 sons for 30 years.
Mm.
like so many,
Mm.
like we've all done here,
Mm.
and like so many people are doing, and that's being revealed in the world right now. How many people are showing up as a wounded child or a wounded adult in the world right now, and that's what we're seeing out there right now. Many wounded little children coming to the fore, and many people really right now revealing the truth of who they truly are, and they probably don't even realize it.
Mm.
Lisa Fox says so many children playing dress up adult.
That's what
I love it.
Now, here's the thing. I know Lisa, and I will speak for you, Lisa, and say that this is not a judgment statement.
Mm.
You're not judging. This is just the reality.
That's real.
It's real.
That's exactly what she just said. The way she said it is exactly that's the wonderful part about it right now. What's happening in the world is that we're getting to see that. We're getting to also see that in ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we're seeing it outside of ourselves as well. And as we talked about last week, the big mirror. Like last week, Josh held the mirror up to me big time. And so where are we willing to look into that mirror, like Josh just said? And when we're out in the world and we start judging people, you're really looking in a mirror. And it's time to look in the mirror, folks. It's really time to look in the mirror and look at your life, start to take responsible and really be honest with that. As my father once said, walk into the bathroom, look in the mirror, and can you be honest with that person in the mirror? That's where we are, folks. That's where we really are. It's a crossroads right now.
Mary says here, if you can see the child within others, it will change your perspective about them.
No doubt about it.
I'm going to take a moment here just to expand upon. I'm going to paraphrase because I have an inside. Obviously, Mary's my partner. So where she's coming from with that is that one of the things that I learned how to do is look at somebody and ask yourself, how old are they right now? Because when I go there, when I recall to go there and I see them, and I'm not asking them unless I'm actually coaching them. I may ask one of my clients, how old are you feeling right now? But when I look at someone I'm engaged in a conversation with, and let's say it's not going exactly as I would like it to go in a direction, I could ask myself, how old are they looking right now? And I tell you, that question is powerful because I can literally see a shift and change in their face. And I could see them going down from 50-something years old down to 5 years old in that split second. Yep. And when I'm able to see that adult as their younger self misbehaving, having a temper tantrum, having a meltdown, however they're showing up, it gives me the opportunity to truly hone in on empathy for them and understand that in this moment, they are not that 50-some-year-old showing up. It's their younger self. And maybe what they really need from me, instead of a fight, is just a hug. Is it okay if I just give you a hug right now? And is it possible that question can totally change the trajectory of the experience for both of you? So here's the second dare. Here's the second dare for our viewers, friends, family, fans and foes, as Evas says in many of his lives. I invite you the next time you're in a conversation with a friend, family member, acquaintance, an employer, an employee, even a customer, look at them or listen to them and ask yourself, how old are they right now? and then see how that changes your experience. And let us know next Tuesday on our next episode, Tuesday night on Real Men Real Talk Live. Gentlemen, we are coming up close to the hour now. And so you know what that means. It's time for musical chairs. In this, we have this game called musical chairs. Each one of you guys have 2 minutes to either put a closing thoughts on our show tonight, on our conversation, and or if you want to touch on this question I proposed to each of you. Here's the question. Tonight, our intention for the topic was, are you the one in 2021? And so my invite to you is that as we begin to reflect and put to the side all that transpired for us in 2020, what are you willing to do in your own life in 2021 to be the one? That is a question, or you could take the easy path out of this one and just put a pretty bow on the show. And so,
who's up?
Well, it's musical chairs time, so we're gonna.
Jeff Fasano.
I'm going to choose to do the pretty bow thing because last week, I keep on going back to last week when I asked Josh that question. Watched last week knows what I'm doing. And I've gotten a lot of wonderful emails and messages from some amazing people out there asking me how I'm doing, how am I doing, because that was my big turnaround last week. So you folks know what I'm going to be doing for moving into 2021 is knowing that I deserve the life that I want. But I'm pretty bow on this. And what I want to go back to is when Evas brought up the ego. And when Charles was talking about always getting up as an artist. And we have a healthy ego, and then we have the wounded side, the wounded ego, which is made up of the wounded child and all the wounds that we've experienced in programming and conditioning over all these years. But one of the things that's really important that we can do moving forward, and this is what I've learned and experienced through my years as a photographer, and each person that I met with, starting with James Galway to James Earl Jones to Kevin Bacon to all of these amazing, amazing artists that wrote their career. They were all they were doing was moving to different levels in their career and expressing themselves. One of the, unbeknownst to me, what I did, and it came into my mind in my heart to ask each person, how did you get here? How did you get to this level of your career and what you're doing? The first answer was, I absolutely love this, and I know it's in my soul to do this. Or James Earl Jones looked at me, he goes, what else? What the hell else would I be doing? I know nothing else. What he knew is in his heart and soul. And that's what he's doing, connecting folks with that aspect of your soul space and your purpose. It opens so many doors. Like Charles was saying, well, this artist is doing this and this and this and this. When you connect with that part of your soul space, that you know that this is the direction that I need to be walking in, so many doorways open up for you because you've connected to that. But the question that when I asked, how did you get here? How did you get to this place? This is where the healed or the healthy ego comes in, and it's not narcissism. Each person that I talk to knows how good they are at what they do. James Galway, if you don't know who James Galway is, was arguably back in the mid-90s the greatest flute player in the world. And an opening came up at the Berlin Symphony for a lead flute player. And he was telling me the story, and he goes, I knew that job was mine. And I looked at him and I said, how did you know that? He said, I knew that what I was doing at that time, I knew what I could bring with my playing ability can enhance that symphony or that orchestra. And he was saying it with no narcissism or wounded ego involved. Jimmy knew how good he was. He honored and valued himself because he practiced 7-8 hours a day, because he put the time into it, because he knew in his soul that this is what I was doing, I needed to do. I know what I can add to that orchestra. So the question is, the healed part of that ego is, am I an ingredient to what is happening in the world? Am I an ingredient to this show? Am I an ingredient to shift and change the world outside of myself? And the only way you know that you're an ingredient is start to do that inner work to see the value. Michael Jordan knows how good he is. I can go on and on. Wayne Gretzky knows how good he is, but he also knows from a healthy standpoint that it's about the we meaning the team, the we meaning the world. I know that my talents, gifts, and abilities and who I am through my soul space and my purpose is simply an ingredient to where I'm moving in my life and what I can add to it to make it a better place, to make it a better relationship, to raise the resonance and vibration of something else. And that begins with me, but it's about that inner work of really finding that place to know that you are an ingredient. And everybody out there is an ingredient into shifting and changing the resonance and vibration of what's going on in the world into a greater collective consciousness or we consciousness.
Beautiful.
Wow, man.
Love
Beautiful, brother. Oh,
it. Jeff Pisano on a roll.
oh, man. You can close it there, Jay. Wow.
When Evas mentioned the ego early, like an hour ago, that is just, I had to get to that.
Beautiful, brother. Beautiful. Damn, you put me in the hot seat. I've noticed, Jay.
You know, it's never an easy decision because you know, it's each one of you brings such powerful closing statements and thoughts, and on any one of your closing statements, we could end the show right there. But there's always room for one more dessert. There's always room for truth bomb that may impact that one person that needed to hear you close us out. So Evas, Love, Heath, you're up.
Beautiful. As always, man, thanks again, Jeff. That was deep, brother. I can't wait to watch the replay. Thank you. And all our brothers and sisters out there, man, as always, the comments coming in tonight, I've had a quick gaze through the broadcast. They are absolutely lit. And like Jeff's saying, we don't have to do this alone anymore, brothers and sisters. We can do it as one. No matter how many separation or distancing and all these other cool terms out on the block at the moment from this year come into place, you have to really go within to ask yourself, can you do this alone? No, I couldn't do it alone. Most of the brothers couldn't do it alone. I reached out. I reached out for support when I needed it during my fall. What I also did was I only acted on things that I knew that I could really manage in my life at that time. Now, this year has been an uncertain time. So it's really being able to embrace that uncertainty and manage the things that you can manage. Now, with that uncertainty, one other thing that I really did when I fell, I accepted it. You know how hard that was as a man coming into my space at that time? The acceptance of a fall of that uncertainty allows you to be flexible. Let me say that again. The acceptance of the uncertainty allows you to really be flexible. And for many of us, particularly men, we've been so rigid. We've been so stagnant. We don't know how to move or pivot like our pro pivoter, Mr. Charles Maddox here. But as I always say, we have to focus, brothers and sisters. 2020 was the year of vision. 2020 vision, clarity, the cleanup, the awareness, the self-realization. I know many of us out here in our community that we've beautifully grown this year are awake to this. So now all we have to do is put it into our play. We have to make the blueprint, we create the map, and we navigate through these uncertain times to make them known in our future. So on that note, my brothers and sisters, that's me.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I got to watch the replay now because I just wanted to write down what you just said.
Right. Good one, Ev.
Accepting the uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That hit home for me. Thank you, my brother. Wow.
As always, my brother. Thank you.
Jillian's, you talk about being lit. She's on fire tonight. And we got a number of viewers and listeners and fans and family that are just lighting us up tonight. Just absolutely beautiful. Before we go into our last two sets of musical chairs, just a reminder, our Tuesday night, tonight was our first Tuesday night. It is going to be for the next 6 or 7 weeks, most likely. One of our co-hosts, Josh Richer, is on set on Friday nights, and the only night that all 5 of us can make it work with respecting each other's time off is tonight. It's Tuesday nights at 6 o'clock. So it is temporary. We'll
And I want to
continue.
thank everybody for coming over with us tonight.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah, man. It's
So
been a lit
grateful for
crowd.
all of you. Seriously.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And Josh will be sending out checks.
from Bali, Jeff.
From Bali. In Bali currency.
Ron Alvarado says, nothing deprives us more than ourselves. Isn't that the truth? Life is truly incredible regardless of our faults. Live within the breath we whisper.
Wow. Good one, Ron.
Magic.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look at that. We got Mr. Pivot. It's like a star that changes, in the middle of the Grammy Awards. You change your hat, you change your name. You're just a man that is just ready to just up level with every breath you take.
You didn't see it, but I even changed my drawers.
That's a pivot.
Right before you go to your closing thoughts, Pivot, I want to ask you, who taught you? Who was your mentor that taught you how to be this resilient and not let no crush you, but actually bring you back stronger and willing to try so many different careers?
Be honest, I can't even say I had. It was just something that was in me. I had people that I looked up to, obviously my uncle and then other artists and stuff that I looked up to. And I just knew that it wasn't going to be easy. And along the way realized that I had to build myself up. At the end of the day, we have to build ourselves up. We can't rely on anybody to keep us where we need to be. So really, it was just really in me. Maybe because I live with a purpose, and that purpose is to really help others and continue to give back in the work that we do with whether it's this show or my other shows or whatever it may be. So it was just something that was just in me.
Okay. I perhaps will ask the question a different way next time. But I appreciate that. Yeah. You're in a hot seat. You
Yeah,
next.
I'm not gonna say. I mean, these guys have already dropped it down. I mean, what I would say is that obviously 2020 has been a challenging year and a difficult year for some. But I would say that it was definitely a reset that we needed. That we really needed to look at ourselves and look at surroundings, look at everything that was around us. Don't allow this time to get us bitter. We're dealing with some political stuff right now that has people just so on edge and disturbed, and even a lot of hatred. Don't allow this time to get us bitter. Everything passes, and this is a time that will pass, whether it's financial issues, emotional issues, relationship issues, even political issues. But remain who we are at the core, right? Because it's bigger than some of the things that we see. All these things will eventually change, and we'll see a brighter day. And 2021 should start to get back to normal for some of us in some form or fashion, and hopefully we'll all be doing what we love to do, back with our loved ones, stronger and wiser, but not carrying that hate that seems to be so prevalent right now within this country.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Magical.
Love it.
Maybe that's a topic for one of the next 12 weeks is how can we make a difference when it comes to turning off the hate and turning up the love in our circle of life, in the people that we touch that we know, and the people that we don't know that we may touch. What can we all do, even as viewers? How can we influence that healthy, loving shift so that we don't carry as much forward from 2020 into 2021? Maybe we can be the one in 21. I could tell you guys real quickly, that when I started to understand that I could make a difference, I can impact other people just by bringing a smile to their face if they're in deep thought or suffering, just by smiling out in public, just by saying good morning to people, just by acknowledging. I saw it make a shift, immediate shift. And not only did it impact them, but it actually was making a shift within me as well. We don't have to do major things. We don't have to hire out the billboards on a 405 in Santa Monica, California. We just got to show up in our own little way, touching people. But maybe that's a future show. We'll see. Josh, Richard, you're up.
Oh
Man, I've had about a dozen things I've wanted to elaborate. You guys have just lit it up tonight, and everybody who's been commenting has just been amazing. And so I'm just gonna drop into surrender and see what I'm guided to share. We talked about that fall. And we've talked about it in past episodes where the breakdown is the breakthrough. And we all have experienced a breakdown this year of life as we know it, of our careers, our livelihood. Some of us have had the rug pulled out from under us, and everything we know is gone. And that stability, that financial stability, and all of that. So in this breakdown, it doesn't need to be a breakdown like your car breaks down on the side of the road. Let's break it down. Let's break down what's truly important to us. Let's break down those walls that we built around ourselves. Let's break down what's not working. Let's break all of this down and funnel it down, and let's give ourselves, or what I'm going to be doing is giving myself more time, more quiet time to listen to that inner voice. And that inner voice is never wrong. And I just routinely don't give it
Mhm.
enough time and enough stillness to listen. And so my goal moving into these next few weeks is going to be allowing the breakdown of things that aren't working and looking at these things honestly, and also allowing more stillness to hear that little voice that knows the truth and that truly knows what I want and what's important to me and where my heart is. And so that's my goal moving into the next few weeks and closing out this wildly unique year. Yeah, I think that's my goals here coming up.
Beautiful, brother.
Stillness Speaks.
Yes. Oh, and
Great book.
it's so quiet at first, and the more you meditate or do yoga or create those moments where you can just do creative projects and do things on your own, the voice gets louder.
Yep.
And you hear it better.
Magic, brother.
Beautiful.
Thanks. Thank you.
Beautiful, Josh. Well, I guess this is where I get to flip.
Oh.
Hey, I'm host. All right.
Took me a long time to hand over to the board. Yeah. So first and foremost, I want to thank our viewers, our listeners, our family, our friends, and those that joined us for the first time, perhaps tonight on this Tuesday. Welcome to Real Men, Real Talk Live. This is where we show up. We don't have a script. We have no idea where the conversation is going to go. And it always goes exactly where it needs to go, right on time. We don't show up early. We don't show up late. We show up right on time each week. And, for me, this is such a powerful topic. You are the one in 2021. Because for me, 2020 isn't over yet. We're still in it. And I brought that up in a production meeting last week. I said, I can't even comprehend how we could start looking into 2021. We still got 3 months here in 2020. Like, I don't like projecting out into the future anymore. I spent a career doing that. And I really like to live in the moment. I like to live in just for today. And so I would like to say this to you men and our audience tonight is that 2020 has impacted every single human being on earth in some way or another. It may be the most powerful shift globally that we've ever experienced, where every person, every human being, and perhaps every animal and wildlife has been impacted and affected. Now, it's a choice if we choose to really just focus on all the things that really impacted us in a negative way. But I can assure you that if we were able to really take a few minutes just to examine and reflect, even on the painful things, there were gifts that we have gotten. There are blessings that we have experienced. There are moments of pivot, perhaps, that were more than necessary. It is a year of pause. It has been. But it's a year that doesn't have to define who we are today. And it doesn't have to define who we will be tomorrow. But it is here to show us, to teach us, to hold us, to love us, to honor us, to respect us, and know that it's not forever. To know that 2021 will come for the majority of us. And we can be the one that changes our mindset, changes our environment where we live, changes how we show up for others, and most importantly, how we show up for ourselves. I have no idea what 2021 is going to bring. I don't even want to begin to try to figure that out this week or for the next 12. Because there is nothing, for the most part, that's unfolded in my life in 2020 that I could have predicted. Not even close. But what I get to do each day is show up and grow up and hold myself accountable for how I treat myself and how I treat other human beings. That's a choice. And I choose that over hate. I choose that over disrespect. And you may say, why? Because I used to show up the other way. And I hated that man. Didn't like him one bit at the end. And I like myself on most days. And so with that, I love you guys. You guys are amazing. One more week in the books for 2020 on Real Men, Real Talk Live. One more moment to thank our viewers, our listeners. If you heard something that resonated with you, please share it out in your community. Share it with your friends and family. Bring someone along to the next Tuesday night show that may impact. They may hear something that can help improve their life. And with that, I love you guys. We'll see you next week on Real Men, Real Talk Live.